Now with the home page done, let's just go ahead and do the categories. In order to do the categories, I'm going to just show it to you as an HTML. So here it is, nothing fancy. Here we have a hero with text and image, below it a search bar, then cards of categories. For each category, we have the count of the recipes inside it. Below it, we have a small illustration to show if there are no data. And then we have the pagination. So nothing fancy here. Let's just go ahead immediately to our HTML code so we can take it and we can begin building our categories. Here we know for a fact that we have the layout up and running and everything is working fine with it. So what we should do is we should just take the content inside. So I'm going to copy everything here and I'm going to hit back to PHP Storm so we can begin working on a new route which is going to hold the information related to the categories. So as a start, I'm going to create a new route called categories, and then I'm going to just go ahead and return a new view, and this view is going to be simply the categories. So return a view categories, and then we just have to create this one. So I will go ahead immediately and create this view using my PHP Storm, and as you can see, it has been created here. Now the first thing, as you know, we have to extend our layout, which is in our case layouts websites, and now we have to add two sections. The first one is going to be simply the content, which is the main one. I'm going to paste the content here, and just above it let's have one more section, but this time is going to be the title itself, and I'm going to write here categories. Let's do code reformat, and then we are good to go to make this one dynamic. And in order to do so, we have to pass data, right? We have to pass collection of categories so we can loop through each one of them. So I will head back to my routes, and here we can just pass the data to the view, right? So here I'm going to create a new variable called categories, and I'm going to assign to it the categories from the database. For now, I'm going to have all of them as a starting point. So let's just pass this variable to my view using the compact helper function. Now we can just simply go to the view and we can loop through each category. And in order to do so, we can take one example, which is this one. I'm going to delete the others, and I'm going to just go ahead and loop through each one of them. Here it's a good place to use for else. So I'm going to use for else here, and I'm going to have empty. We are going to fill it in a bit, but I'm just going to write here no data. Let us just loop through categories. So categories as a category, and then we have this object to use. So I'm going to paste here the HTML item which I just took as an example, and here we are just going to display the title of the recipe. So as a starting point, we just need one more piece of information, which is the count of the recipes, which we don't have, but we are going to implement in a second. And just remember, for the empty, we have no data, but here as a template, we have this, which is ready component we can use. So let me just cut it and paste it here. And just to clean things up, I'm going to make a component out of this one. So let me just go ahead and refactor, then create a blade component, and I'm going to call it no data, and simply let's just go ahead and create it. Now we have this one inside components, so remember it's there if you wish to check it out. In my case, I'm just going to go ahead and implement the count. So as we saw earlier, we did with count and we used it, and it was really helpful function. So here, since we have the relation, I'm just going to go ahead and use with count, and I'm going to write here the relation name, which is in our case recipes. If you are confused, this is exactly this one. So since we have it as relation, I can easily use it inside with count. And we know that if you use this function, then it will create a column on the fly to calculate the count of the recipes, and this one is going to be dynamically named whatever you wrote here underscore count. So let's just use it inside our view. So I will head back to here, and I'm going to write here category and then recipes underscore count. So let me get back to my browser and view the newly created route, which is /categories. And obviously I made a mistake, which is calling all on a query. We can't do so actually. We can only use get and first. So I can't use all anymore because I prefixed it with something else. I can just use get on it. So let me just call get, and we can get back and refresh. So now everything seems to work just fine. However, I noticed that we are displaying everything and we didn't do the pagination. So let's just do the pagination next. In order to paginate using Laravel, you can do so super easily using a helper function called paginate. And you can just pass the items count you would like to have in each page. In my case, I would like to have maybe 8 items inside each page. So let us just get back to the browser, and I'm going to hit refresh again. So as you can see, right now we have only 8 elements. And those links right now are the dummy links which came from the HTML template. So let me just go ahead and wire those so they can be functioning properly. I will get back to my view, and in order to just display the pagination, you can do so super easily using one helper function. So I'm going to delete the old pagination, and I'm going to write here categories, since we have them as a paginated collection, and we can have the links as a helper function. This is going to display all the proper DOM elements to make the pagination. So by default, this is what we are represented with, which is Laravel. Recently, they moved to use Tailwind, and this template is using simply Bootstrap. So there is a way to roll back to use not Tailwind, but Bootstrap as an HTML for the pagination. So I will head back to my code, and I will just ask Laravel to use the old pagination or Bootstrap 5 pagination, or maybe 4 if you wish. In my case, I'm using Bootstrap 5, so I'll just go ahead to my app and then provider. Inside the app service provider, I'm just going to have the paginator, which is this paginator, illuminate paginate. I'm going to ask it to use Bootstrap 5, and that's it. In this case, Laravel is going to use the pagination of Bootstrap 5. I will head back to my browser and I will refresh, and as you can see, we have it, but not quite exactly the same. Maybe if you wish to make it in the middle, then definitely you can do so. Let me just go ahead and open the documentation related with this exact section. Here they are telling us how to customize the pagination view. So just bear in mind that you have to use this command in order to publish all the assets related to the pagination. So let me just go ahead to my project and I will navigate to it. Then I will simply run this command. What this does, it will just create a new folder. It will publish the assets, which means it will create a new folder inside your views called vendor. Inside that we have the pagination. So let me show it to you files wise. Here inside the views, we have vendor, and inside that we have the pagination. So in my case, I'm interested in changing only the Bootstrap 5 pagination as an HTML only. So I'm not going to do much. I'm just going to tweak it just a little bit. So I'm going to delete the others because I'm not going to change them. And here, nothing fancy. I just would like to display them above each other. So let me just tweak the HTML file just a little bit. So here we have the links and they are spaced between. Let me just make them spaced around. And since we have 2 items, let me just make it 1 item. Let me see it. So now it matches more the HTML template that we had. And now with the pagination done, simply we can go ahead and do the search in the next tutorial.